What began as just another game on the Indiana Fever's calendar quickly spiraled into one of the most haunting, unforgettable nights of the WNBA season. It was supposed to be routine, a chance to steady the ship, collect a win, and keep their fragile playoff hopes intact. But basketball has a cruel way of turning the ordinary into something extraordinary. And in one devastating instant, the atmosphere inside the arena shifted from hopeful to heartbroken. What should have been another battle for standings turned into a night that players, coaches, and fans will carry with them for years. Early in the first half, the moment came that left the Fever gasping. Sophie Cunningham, the rugged, fiery veteran who had become Indiana's heartbeat in Caitlin Clark's absence, went down hard. The collision was brutal, the kind of impact you never want to see in sports. 1 second she was rotating to help. On defense, the next she was flat on the hardwood, clutching her right leg in agony. Her teammates and trainers rushed to her side as silence swept through the arena. For a team already bruised and battered by injuries, this felt like the cruelest blow yet. Indiana had been playing on the edge of collapse all season. Their roster had been gutted piece by piece, their depth worn thin. Yet through all of it, Cunningham had been their glue. She wasn't their leading scorer, but she was their emotional anchor, their defensive backbone, the one willing to scrap, dive, and stand up to anyone who threatened her teammates. Her toughness gave Indiana its identity. When she crumpled to the floor screaming in pain, it felt as though the season itself buckled with her. What made the sight even harder to stomach was who collided with her. Bria Hartley, guard 4. The Connecticut Sun. Hartley's name has become synonymous with chaos this season. She's been ejected multiple times, caught dragging opponents down by their hair, and playing with a recklessness that critics say has no place in the modern game. Just days earlier, she made headlines for yanking Angel Reese out of the air by her ponytail. And now, she had plowed into Cunningham's planted leg with the force of a wrecking ball. To Fever fans, this wasn't an unlucky accident. It was part of a disturbing pattern. As Cunningham lay on the floor, its tears streaming down her face, it became clear this wasn't a knock she could just shake off. Sophie is known for toughness, the kind of competitor who plays through pain without flinching, but this was different. She couldn't stand. She couldn't even put weight on her leg. She needed help just to leave the court. Leaning on trainers as the crowd looked on in stunned silence. Outside the arena, her family's heartbreak turned into fury. Her sister Lindsay took to social media almost immediately, blasting the WNBA for failing to protect its athletes. Maybe focus less on finding players for comments about poor officiating, she wrote, and more on hiring officials who can call a consistent game and keep players safe. Pathetic. Their mother didn't hold back either, calling Hartley a disgruntled player who carried a reputation for meanness everywhere she went. The Cunningham family's anger echoed what every Indiana fan was already feeling. This wasn't just unfortunate. It was unacceptable. For Indiana, it felt like the nightmare was complete. Their rookie superstar, Caitlin Clark, the face of the franchise, in the WNBA's brightest light, has already missed 13 straight games with a groin injury. Other starters had gone down with season-ending setbacks. Sophie had been the one holding it all together with grit and leadership. Losing her felt like the season's final straw. By halftime, the scoreboard only deepened the despair. The Fever trailed by 19. Early in the third quarter, the deficit ballooned. 2:21. It looked like Indiana wasn't just losing a game. They were watching their season drown in real time. But sports have a strange way of turning despair into hope. What happened next wasn't just a comeback. It was a resurrection. It started quietly. A stop here, a layup there. Then Kelsey Mitchell lit the fuse. The veteran guard, frustrated and quiet in the first half, suddenly found another level. With her team's season slipping into the abyss, Mitchell transformed into something unstoppable. She attacked relentlessly, scored at will, and refused to let her teammates fold. Possession after possession, she clawed Indiana back into the fight. By the time the fourth quarter arrived, Connecticut's 21-point lead had vanished. Indiana had dragged themselves all the way back. It's not just on Mitchell's shoulders, but with contributions from across the roster. Odyssey Sims, who had only just joined on a hardship contract, played like she had been there all season, finishing with 19 points and 7 assists. Aaliyah Boston put together a masterpiece, 14 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, while battling Connecticut's towering front court. Natasha Howard chipped in 18. Brianna Turner gave gritty defensive minutes. And Lexi Hull, calm under fire, drilled the dagger 3 in overtime that sealed the miracle. At the heart of it all, though, was Mitchell. Her second half was the stuff of legend. After scoring just 4 points in the first 2 quarters, she erupted for 34 in the second half and overtime, tying her career high with 38. She scored all 10 of Indiana's points in overtime, including back-to-back threes, that silenced the Connecticut crowd and sent her teammates into disbelief. 11 for 22 from the field, 5 for 8 from deep, 11 of 12 from the line. The numbers tell one story. The fire in her eyes told another. She didn't just score. She refused to let her team die. When the final buzzer sounded, Indiana had pulled off the largest comeback in franchise history. From down 21 to victorious in overtime, they had taken heartbreak and turned it into triumph. The post-game scene wasn't the usual jubilation. Instead, it was tears, hugs, and an overwhelming reminder of why resilience matters. Coach Stephanie White praised her players for their connectedness and toughness, saying they embodied what it meant to fight together. This wasn't just a win. It was proof that belief, unity, and raw defiance can carry a team further than anyone thinks possible. Yet the night remained split into 2 stories. On one side, Indiana had their miracle, a comeback that might define their season and maybe even their playoff run. On the other, Sophie Cunningham's injury hung like a storm cloud. The anger toward Bria Hartley and toward the league's officials hasn't gone away. Fans and families alike are demanding accountability. Players have to